So 158 years. Damn!
Damn! He seemed like the perfect match, a successful cardiologist on a dating app. But women who went out with him say he was a monster who spiked their drinks and then brutally sexually assaulted them. He's now been sentenced to more than 150 years in prison. Stephen Fabian spoke with the victim who broke open the case.
He seemed like quite the catch on the single scene. His dating app profile had it all. He loved camping, snowboarding, traveling, and homemade dinners. To top it off, he's a prominent cardiologist at a Denver hospital. But Dr. Stephen Matthews was a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a monster who drugged and raped his dates.
I got in the hot tub, and the very last thing I remember is just looking at the water, and then just lights out.
Audrey, she asked that only her first name be used, says it happened on her first date with Dr. Matthews. Her mother found her at home.
She was in the shower, half clothed, and just making no sense.
After Audrey came forward to tell her story, 10 more women found the courage to accuse Dr. Matthews. Prosecutors say there are likely dozens more victims staying in the shadows. Each had the same story, waking up groggy after a first date with no recollection of what had happened. You coming forward really started this process. You really made a difference here.
It was not easy. It was not an easy decision, and it was not an easy road. But I knew it was the right thing to do, and I stuck to my guns, and I did it.
Matthews was just found guilty of 35 charges. He wept in court as his mother begged for mercy.
I hope that I will one day be able to hug you and see you on the other side of these walls.
He was not prepared for what happened next.
It would be improper if you did not serve a sentence for each victim individually. The total number of years are 158 years in prison. This matter is concluded.
You heard right, 158 years behind bars. The once respected cardiologist gave his accusers one last look as he was taken away, perhaps forever.
There is no amount of time that takes away what happened. It does mean you won't be able to do it to anybody else.
Incredibly brave woman. Matthew's lawyer says they will appeal the conviction.
Get smacked silly. Get smacked silly.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Nerd Chronicles with your host, Christian Paul speaking. And I just looked at a news post of a now former cardiologist up in the state of Colorado who resides in the Denver area, who has been sentenced to 158 years in prison due to committing a bunch of scrambled eggs violations on numerous women that have came forth around the time from 2019 to 2023, whenever he was starting dating based on his dating profile. And man, this is literally another Diddler situation that's been going on, basically like a white version of P. Diddy.
Get smacked silly. Get smacked silly.
You know what I mean? Basically, that's it again, like a woman aroused, secretly again having them sip some drinks, secretly as he getting them poisoned up, hypnotized, slipping some stuff, God knows what up in their drinks, so they feel unconscious, and they do the violations on them, to say it that way, do the YouTube guidelines and everything else. And when I reviewed that stuff, oh man, it is just sickening to the core. It just literally befuddles me. But it also basically just comes to show that at the end of the day, you could appear high value, you could do all these things, have like lots of cash, but at the end of the day, what's your morals? What's your character? What's your integrity? And we're going to actually try and dig into all this situation when it comes to that particular story and what we can learn in this type of situation, basically for men to actually deal with these types of things, for everyone to actually deal with these types of things whenever they pick up certain cues, and also for men to defend themselves, whether it's like a real or false violation or allegation of violations. You want to try and make sure that you stay discreet, decent, and respectful as possible. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, we have a news clip coming out of CBS News Colorado. in which we discuss one of the victims, and I'm definitely saying victims for sure because, the Diddler Cardiologist was definitely convicted and is currently sentenced to 158 years. One of the victims that he had here actually confessed her experience while being the Diddler Cardiologist for sure. And we are going to actually dig further into the side of the story and see what local news has to say in this one. So let's get ourselves ready, get ourselves full screen, and we're going to have a field day, ladies and gentlemen.
Digging of your investigators led to the unraveling.
Let's go back here.
The tenacious digging of your investigators led to the unraveling of one man's scheme to drug and sexually assault women he met on popular dating apps.
This week, the former Denver cardiologist will learn his fate in court. Stephen Matthews will be sentenced on Friday. In August, the Denver jury convicted Matthews on 35 of 38 counts, all related to drugging and sexually assaulting several women between 2019 and 2023.
Oh my goodness. And mind you, after the first couple of victims that he actually did that to, basically performing the Diddler, basically Hinge allowed him to actually continue using the app for like 2-3 years on end.
We have new developments tonight in a CBS News Colorado investigation. A popular dating app is under fire. Our investigation found an accused rapist was reported to the app multiple times.
But somehow he was able to keep reposting profiles on the app even after those reports.
CBS News investigator Brian Moss has been piecing together what happened on the Hinge dating app. Brian.
For those of us who aren't familiar with Hinge, it has millions of users, especially popular with millennials. However, our investigation is raising concerns about the app's security measures and how well they worked when it came to Denver cardiologist Stephen Matthews, whose attorney says he did nothing wrong. Matthews had a dating profile on the Hinge app in 2020 and connected with a woman we'll call Jane, who went with him to his uptown apartment. There, she says, after minimal drinking, she blacked out, woke up naked on the floor, and texted a family member. I think there's a good chance something very bad happened to me. The next day, September 29th, 2020, she underwent a rape exam and sent an email to Hinge about what she says happened. We'll be taking immediate steps, wrote back Hinge. We permanently banned him from Hinge, the company told her. But 4 months later, as she was on the dating app again, she again found his profile and again wrote Hinge on January 30th, 2021. I was raped after a first date with an individual I met and communicated with via Hinge. He still exists within your ecosystem, she wrote, and is posing a potential threat to other women within the Hinge community.
Their ban is essentially meaningless.
Eva Galperin is the director of cybersecurity for the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
Whatever they did was clearly insufficient. It did not even, clear the most basic bar of what you want to do when you want to ban someone.
After Jane's second report to Hinge in 2021, Hinge emailed her. It appears he created a new account using completely different login credentials. We have now permanently banned that account and taken additional steps to ensure that he stays permanently off Hinge. But whatever steps they took clearly didn't work. Hinge declined to be interviewed and wouldn't say exactly what happened. But dating sites can block a user's phone number, email address, IP address, and other identifying information. But according to text messages between Matthews and other women, he was back on the Hinge app again in 2022 and 2023, meeting more women, like this woman he went out with in January of this year.
I should have never, ever even been able to match with him because he should have never been able to make another account.
She says after several drinks with Matthews at his home, she blacked out and underwent a rape test the next day, which she says showed she had intercourse, which she does not remember. According to this arrest affidavit, Matthews claims the sex was consensual, but he's now charged with 3 felonies for her alleged rape, all due to meeting him on Hinge, 2.5 years after the site said it had banned him.
If they had listened to the multitude of reports that they had received about this person and just banned him in the first place, I would not be sitting here today having this conversation.
That's the unfortunate part of all this. Based on the accusations, they can't even deal with their own investigation with this. Again, it's somebody actually independently investigate based on his accusations and all these other things. This stuff merely continue to go on based on despite the accusations, which is just real unfortunate. Really unfortunate.
Tonight, another of Matthew's victims is telling her story exclusively to your investigator, Brian Mott.
Now, but let me not even go there, because I know today is a little bit more chaotic than everything else with social media, because you're seeing all the crazy allegations of the black entertainers and everything else. So I want to try and be very careful on what I say as well. But all I can say in this is literally chickens have mainly come home to roost.
She says the only reason she felt comfortable going on a date with Matthews last year was because he was a doctor.
She met him through the dating app Hinge, liked that he was a doctor, had a dog, and was outdoorsy. Because she too had a dog, liked hiking, and works in the healthcare field. The 34-year-old was excited for their first date. But when I met with Allie, she recalled a date that spun out of control.
The incident was the scariest day of my life. That is the only time that I thought I might die.
She met Matthews at a bar for a drink. After that, he suggested they walk to his home so he could let his dog out.
And when I came out of the restroom, I found him in the kitchen with a drink that he had made for me. I didn't want to offend him.
I want to be very, very clear. I understand that you don't want to be disrespectful to him and everything else, but there's nothing wrong with saying no if you don't feel comfortable drinking. You got every full right to say these things. You know what I'm saying? Don't be hesitant to literally say no if you're not comfortable. And I get it, you're in somebody's house, and I'm basically speaking to the women here that she does. And then if you're literally up in the guy's house that you're dating, you have every full right to say no. You got every full right to walk away if you're literally not comfortable. That's definitely fine. Just don't be hesitant. Don't be literally spooked not to actually do anything just because you got some deep insecurities that's actually going on. You got full free rights to actually do, you do something. Floods. I forgot what I was going to say. You have the right to actually say no and object if you just do not feel comfortable whatsoever. And if the man actually takes issue with that, you already know who he mainly is. And let me not go too further. Let's go actually continue with the story, ladies and gentlemen.
So I took the drink.
After drinking it, she started to lose memory. Felt physical.
And the worst part is, I'm a bit curious. Like how were they able to make the drink? What type of hidden drugs they put up in there?
Ill and couldn't write properly.
He put one arm around my neck and shoulders to hold me, one arm on the top of my head, and pulled my head back and began to kiss me. I knew that.
What a coward. If for some reason you got like a woman that's interested in you, that's actually willing to go the extra mile, God knows, you want to try and get high levels of intimacy and possibly do some scrambled eggs with you, clap some cheeks, do some relations. Why would you want to take the extra effort just to try to actually just drug her up, just so you're able to actually try and get an easy target? Well, seeking the easy, done all of that stuff the moment that you get hard and heavy, the moment that you make things fun. Not saying it's guaranteed, but she'd be more than willing to do that stuff for free without even a drink. Because she's so understanding, she's really so hot and heavy, literally up in here in the moment. You got literally some women right now, literally trying to actually pull a Juno. You know what I'm saying? Actually trying to go in the heat of the moment. Some of them will literally let you impregnate them on the first date. That's how crazy some of these women can get. Why would you actually plant a drug and have them drink and have them unconscious just to try to perform scrambled eggs to them? Like, why? That is just literally cowardice. That's like what Diddy may have allegedly done, and especially when we saw the video with Diddy literally abusing Cassie. It just blows my mind, man. Why do these things where you have a woman that's hooked to you, and if a woman's really that hooked and deeply interested in you, she'd be more than willing to do whatever she wants down to you and do whatever you want to say and want her to do. She be willing to do basically virtually almost anything that you tell her to do, as long as she feels comfortable. But this literally ain't it.
My ability to control my body was quickly disappearing, and that if I did not leave within minutes, I didn't think I would ever be able to leave.
And thank God she did. Now, basically, they got homeboy for drugging them, but they weren't able to get her for like sexual assault or anything like that because she really escaped the household before they even happened. So thank God she's okay.
Desperate to stay conscious, she ran from Matthew's home here in West Denver, leaving behind her purse, jacket, and her shoes. And then she called for a ride.
I began vomiting uncontrollably, at least while I was in the Uber, possibly before.
For months, she thought she was the only victim and blamed herself for what happened.
Girl, it's not your fault. It is not your fault for what happened to you. You were not aware of what went down. Not your fault at all.
Maybe she drank too much. Maybe a prescription medication had caused everything.
A prescription medication that she was mainly unaware of. If you got some drug that's actually just slip up in a drink that you weren't aware of, how could it be your fault?
I thought that there was something wrong with me that made him want to hurt me.
But then she came across a shared Facebook page with numerous women who had dated Matthews sharing remarkably similar stories. She went to police and told them what happened to her.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Stephen Matthews, guilty of assault in the second degree.
Her testimony and the similar stories from 10 other women led a jury to convict Matthews on 35 out of 38 charges.
It was a huge relief to have the jury say they believed me and the other woman.
She says the trial re-traumatized her, with Matthews' attorneys making her feel like she was the one.
Maybe dealing with like a real life narcissist literally right there.
On trial.
She was a little bit emotional.
She plans to tell the judge that at sentencing and will ask for maximum punishment for Stephen Matthews, who she says has left her struggling with anxiety, worried about her personal safety, and exhausted.
Every single day, there's at least a moment of my day that revolves around this person who hurt me.
Do you think there are more victims?
No doubt in my mind. He was doing this several times a week. And I truly believe the survivors that came forward is just the tip of the iceberg.
Allie hopes this story, her story of being drugged by Stephen Matthews, helps other women who find themselves in similar circumstances.
I just hope that hearing this story gives one more survivor the courage to come forward and get justice for themselves and heal.
While Allie believes that Matthews drugged her and he was convicted for that, she does not believe that he sexually assaulted her. She says this experience has also helped her understand resources.
What a shame, what a shame, what a shame, what a shame. What a shame. Shame, what a shame, what a shame. Now, what can we learn from this situation that basically came up forth? You know what I'm saying? And I commend the women that actually just came out and actually spoke out on this. And it's just real unfortunate that you endured this type of ordeal and everything else. I want to just give like a couple of situations in regards to that. And I'm not saying what they endured is false or not. I'm not saying that at all. But when dealing with these scenarios where they actually are very messy, you know, as a man, you want to actually try and be as very proactive as you possibly can to avoid getting hemmed up in these types of charges. Like, number one, why would you even actually try and plan a drink and put some stuff in a drink up in a woman for? Why would you actually just give her a drink for that? If a woman is actually truly innocent, you ain't got to worry about giving her a drink. You just got to try and let the magic happen. And, you know, when the woman comes, then you strike. You know what I'm saying? That's like one way to go about it. Like, why go and literally deal with that route? You know, just be as definitely as sweet as possible. You know, if you're dealing with intercourse and like that, you know, make sure you have an audio recording, whatever state allows it. Make sure you definitely give her a great time and mitigate the situation as much as possible, and give her a night after text or the day after text. Make sure that she's still good. That'll be the best way to counter some stuff like this. Not saying it's going to fully guarantee you getting hemmed up on like a false rape charge, whatever it may be. You just want to make sure everything's mainly smooth, understand the heat of the moment, understand the tension, read the temperature of the room, because she can literally just switch up and just be resistant at any given moment at any given time. So you have to be extremely careful when actually dealing with these types of instances and when dealing with these types of ordeals. You know what I'm saying? You got like some dealers up there that are just basically narcissistic and sick in the mind due to the fact that they crave some power, due to the fact that they may have some tension in life growing up, or they may have been teased in school, or they may have some traumas in their childhood and been disrespected for so long. You know, unfortunately, they end up becoming a bad guy, and they end up taking it out on other people due to the fact that they had their hurt they actually try to make up and actually seek revenge also that they have experienced as a child. And I've seen it happen with other people, and I know it definitely happened to me at times. Fortunately, I wasn't even that type of person. But some of these other people, man, when they are literally down low and really, literally sore on their luck, or when they mainly are screwed over, sometimes it can turn like that. I'm not saying it's justifiable, but you see people like that mainly become narcissistic, as well as demeaning, and they just basically utilize these things like scrambled egg violations, rape, sexual assault, just actually try to maintain a power presence due to the fact that they're not really that great in game, or they're not really that great with social skills or anything of that nature. So they use all that stuff to actually mainly cover up their flaws, and unfortunately for them, it mainly backfired. Universal karma mainly came back to him. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't gotta be that all crazed up. You ain't gotta be all like that dominance just because you got some very deep insecurities, man. Just literally be secure with yourself. Be respectful with yourself and other people. Value, worth. You know, definitely actually try and see potential in other folks, but also be realistic given the mindsets that they mainly give you. Sniff out red flags, given their mindsets, you know. Definitely enjoy the heat of the moment. Definitely stay respectful. You know what I'm saying? And make sure you it doesn't get mainly hemmed up. Sift the signs out, because there are some very subtle red flags you can definitely pick up, you know, prior to like any assault charge that mainly comes about. And you gotta make sure you defend yourself, whether it's real or false, we don't know. Just be proactive, be discreet, be respectful, you know, handle your business. You know what I'm saying? You gotta worry about chasing or anything like that, you know, because if they're really that interested in you, if they're really that flirtatious with you, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff will definitely happen. If she's really truly enjoying it, it'll really be no problem. And at least you'll have some defense. You know, whenever she starts crying out rape or assault or anything like that, at least you have some defense to actually utilize up in the courts and make sure that you're definitely clear. Not just for the courts, and also law enforcement as well. All right? This here is definitely an unfortunately tragic story. And yes, homeboy got the 158 years that he rightfully deserves. Serves him right for really being so idiotic due to his lack of game and due to his lack of social awareness. Because, you know, you can't even get yourself healed. You can't even go to like a therapist really trying to get your healed and everything else, and actually come through with like strategic intervention. That's actually trying to make sure that you're clear in the mind. You're not really all that depressed and villainous. You know what I'm saying? Because once you go to that villainous role, it's very, very, very hard to get out of it. And one more thing that I actually want to point out. The most important thing I actually really want to point out is the Diddler Cardiologist. High value man. A doctoral degree. Okay. You know, clearly he has his medical doctorate. He was licensed to practice in the state of Colorado, which is definitely now revoked once he's serving that 158 years in jail. That's definitely going to be revoked now. Definitely having a high pay prior to all this, working at like a hospital, dealing with like high pressure situations, being a cardiologist, you know what I mean? 6-figure income, has his own house, has his own townhome, you know what I'm saying? But yet, you do all that stuff, you do all that sick stuff, mainly behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? It just comes to show you that you can have all that money, and you can have all that wealth, and you can have all that expertise and everything else, and dress well and everything else. But it if your character is shoddy, if your character is really full of the devil, and is very, 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 very poor, is very, very, very malignant, all that stuff is literally null and void at the end of the day, because your foundation is mainly shot, it is fragile, it is garbage, based on the morals and the character and the integrity that you mainly stand for, given your narcissist mindset. All that high value stuff, all that attractive stuff, like attractive butts and, boobs and everything else, gorgeous smile, hair, everything else, all that stuff is mainly out the window the moment that your poor character and your highly flawed and malignant character is heavily exposed right in front of the general public. All null and void. Morals and values and integrity trumps over everything else at the end of the day.